y'all. Welcome back to Conversations with Kim. It's me, Kim, and I'm excited to be back. It's been a couple weeks. There's been a little bit of drama. We'll talk about that later because my co-host, Jay Hunter, is not here today, so I want to wait for her. But if you know her and if you've been following her, she's kind of going through a divorce and she wants to talk about that when she gets back. So we're going to wait for her. But we're back and I'm excited because I have my very best friend, Victoria Grace Walton, hosting with me today, attorney at law. How are you, Vicki?
I'm excellent. Thank you.
Wait, what was that? I couldn't hear you.
Excellent. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you for coming at the last minute. Jessica is sick. She has bronchitis, upper respiratory infection. She wanted to call in. I told her to rest. Don't even worry about it today. So anyway, y'all, we have a fabulous show. I'm so excited. I'm super excited. Vic, are you excited?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh,
yeah.
I'm so excited.
Let's get into it.
Listen, the show
ready.
topic is called Self-Love.
Ooh, that's
And
deep.
I wanted to talk about that, especially with the things that's been kind of going on. And we'll talk about that later. But I would like to welcome the Corey L. Hughes to our show today. Yay, Corey! Dr. Elder Bishop Minister Corey L. Hughes is on the show today.
I just gained a couple of titles, but I'll take them. I'll take the titles.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm excited. Just another day's journey, so I'm excited to
See,
be
that's
here.
why I called you Bishop, because he said another day journey.
Yeah.
Okay.
And let me explain that. You know, my life motto is to enjoy the journey.
Yeah.
You know, and so I always talk about just a journey because oftentimes we're trained to focus on getting to a goal or accomplishing something, and a lot of times we forget to enjoy the journey along the way.
So true.
And so it's just another day's journey for me.
Amen.
All right.
Yeah.
Preach.
Amen. Okay. See,
That's it.
yes.
I'll
yes.
take that. I
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
I appreciate you taking out time to join us on the show today because I know your schedule is very hectic.
Yeah.
You travel every day? It seems like it.
yeah.
I follow his Instagram stories. He's literally on a plane daily.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me.
This topic, I know I chose Corey because we talked on the phone a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
And the way he ministered to me on the phone with my current situation was so touching. And, you know, most men can't touch a woman like that. And I don't mean in any type of, but I'm saying to be able to understand me and my feelings and to minister to the core of who I am as a woman, for a man to be able to do that, I feel is a very special gift. And so I want to thank you for that. And I know you will help our audience today, our women out there today. So that's why I asked you on the show today. So thank
Awesome.
you so much.
I'm honored to be here for sure.
So what is self-love to you?
You know, if I had to just throw it out there, I would say self-love is to understand that to be good, you don't have to be perfect.
Okay.
I love
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, you don't have to be perfect, and understanding that if you view yourself from the perspective that God created you, then you understand that when God created you, He created you to be exclusive. You're not cookie cutter. You're not going to be like everyone else, which
Right.
means you should never compare how you look to anyone else. You should never compare,
like that.
how you sound to anyone else.
Right.
Your only competition should be you. And instead of you trying to be the best for someone else, self-love is getting to a place of discovery where you're trying to be the best version of you.
Yes.
Right. And
Love
understanding that everybody may not applaud that you.
Right.
Everybody may not love and appreciate or accept that you. But if you truly subscribe to the fact that God made you, then He made you with a specific purpose, with a destiny. And I'm created to do something that nobody else can do.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You have a
Thank
purpose.
Yeah, you got a
Your own
purpose, right.
individual purpose.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Vicki, what does it mean for you?
Well, it's exactly what you said. I mean, also, it's a peace and a contentment with just being you and being comfortable with yourself.
Yeah.
But it's a journey. It takes
A process, yeah.
It takes a lifetime for some people,
True.
Because you do watch TV, you have, other stimulus and influences in your life. And you want to compare yourself, especially growing up, because you don't really know who you are. You're trying to figure out what you like, what you don't like, and things like that. But when you get a little bit older and you've experienced a lot of the journey, you start to say, you know what? I'm content, I'm happy with
Yes.
this, even though I'm still in this process.
Yeah.
But this is who I am, and I accept myself, and I have inner peace about it. And I
Right.
feel like that is self-love.
Amen. Okay, well, that
Yeah.
leads to our first segment, which is called I Am Worth It,
Okay.
which I feel like is the first step of self-love, is recognizing you are worth your own love, right?
Absolutely.
So, I mean, I look at some of the things with, I am worth it. It's being selfish with your time, being selfish with yourself. And a lot of times we feel guilty to being selfish because we look at being selfish as a bad thing, and necessary. It's really not, because if you're not selfish with you, you can't help anyone else, right? So if I'm not pouring into myself the same way I pour into others, like my children and my family, then I'm useless to them, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think, self-love is definitely not selfish. All right. And so that's the myth that we have to destroy, is loving yourself is not selfish. It's actually healthy.
It's healthy.
Right. You can't truly love somebody else until you first love yourself.
Right.
Because what happens is, if you don't love yourself, then there's a deficit. And so I'm expecting somebody else to feel something that they're not necessarily designed to feel.
Right.
Right. I need to be able to love myself, which means I look at my successes, my failures, my mistakes, all of that in totality, and still love myself and appreciate who I am.
Right.
And I think the problem, and I know this is not the question or the statement, but the problem with many of us, when we go into relationships, we're looking for somebody to accommodate or fill a void that they were never designed to fill.
And it's not fair to them.
It's
Nope.
not fair to them. And
Yeah.
so now you're not happy in the relationship, and you're projecting that void on your spouse or your significant other or your life partner. And the reality is, that's not their job.
No.
You've got to learn to appreciate and love yourself. You've got to learn to be allergic to haterism. You've got to learn how to push to the side what people have to say about you.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, that's what self-love is. And the
Yes.
truth is, the first person I wouldn't say the first person, but you've got to learn how to fall in love with yourself.
What does that mean, falling in love with yourself, though? Like,
So I think falling in love with yourself is, it's like, think about the times that you ladies have been in love with whoever you were in love with. When you're in love, you enjoy spending time with that person. You want to see that person happy. If that person is hungry, you want to feed them. And so the question is, why aren't you able to do that for yourself? You ought to want to see yourself happy. You ought to want to spend time with yourself. You ought to want to provide for yourself.
Yes.
And not wait for somebody else to do it, but do it for yourself.
Right.
When you're in love with somebody, you don't wait for somebody else to do it for them. You want to be the first person to answer or provide a need for them. And you ought to be able to take that same energy that we oftentimes put in other people and put it into ourselves as well.
I think for me, for self-love, for me, because I went through a transition here this year. And I think the first step for me was focusing on my physical. And it's not being narcissistic or shallow. I mean, feeling good physically. And so I started to work out consistently. I see you work out all the time too.
Oh, yeah.
But I started to work out, and I felt so good about myself just by working out. Now, I considered getting the mommy makeover. I don't know if I told y'all that, but I considered that. I even made an appointment, Corey, to
Okay.
get the mommy makeover, okay? And I was challenged by someone to actually try and work out first. And I'm so glad I did that, because I feel I accomplished something, and I'm still accomplishing something. So even things like that in the physical, and it will help you feel better about yourself. I think those are some good, steps to make in self-love.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, now listen, you on my
Yes,
lane
I
when you
know.
start talking about working out.
You make me feel guilty when I look at you. I'm like, oh, I need to go to the gym. Look at Corey.
And so I did a video the other day, and I told people, I said, listen, me working out and me posting these videos is not about me being arrogant about
No.
my body, but it's more so me loving myself.
Yes.
And challenging myself to do
Yes.
something that I haven't done. What does working out cause you to do? Number one, it causes you to be disciplined, right? If you put yourself on a schedule, and most people lack discipline, not only in
Right.
relationships, but in their personal lives,
Yes.
right? It teaches you to have tenacity,
Yes.
right? You have to go when you don't feel like going.
Yes.
It pushes you to see yourself, that you're stronger than what you thought you were, that you can do more than what you thought you could
It
do.
causes me to push more.
Absolutely. And so the thing
Yeah.
about it is, you can get a mommy makeover and go lay on the table and allow somebody else to do it.
Yes.
Or you can challenge yourself to do it yourself and overcome that obstacle that says that you can't. Now, once you begin to see the results in your body that you desire, what happens is that attitude of overcoming, that accomplishing attitude, it transposes to every part of your life. And so
yes.
now that I can go
noticed
and
that.
lose the weight, I can also begin to love myself, and I can overcome. I can get the contract.
Yes.
I can get the job. I can purchase the home. And I think
It
that's
caused
what we
me to
have do.
persevere more.
100%.
You know what I mean? Like
100%.
not give up,
Right.
to push through it in the hard times and just to keep going. So, when I started working out with the coach, I called him the coach. He made fun of me because I came in full makeup, and he's like, "What? What are you doing?" I'm like, I was already, made up. I wasn't gonna take it off. He was like, "Don't come in here with that." So I decided to do a parody based off that conversation. So I want Ziggy to show the video that we did. It's real cheesy and corny, but I want y'all to see it. But it's a parody of me going to the gym and like
I'm ready for this.
in glam. So
This is gonna be funny.
we're gonna take a look at that right quick.
Man, where this girl at? She always late. She gotta have all the jewelry on. She gotta be super bougie. Who wears jewelry to the doggone gym? Think of Miss Keisha Cole, wanna be Beyonce, Mary J. Blige. Girl, bring your buddy in here. Let's get this going, please.
Hi, Coach. I'm so sorry I'm late. Oh my God.
What do you have on?
What? I need a little motivation today from Gucci and from Christian. Yes. Are you ready to work out? I'm ready.
What you gonna do, model?
I always model.
You cannot sweat in that.
Oh, I don't sweat. No, we don't sweat.
So what am I here for? To watch you?
Maybe. Walk it like I talk it, baby. Yes. Yes.
Good heck to the no.
Come on, let's go. I'm ready. Come on.
I guess we doing calves today.
Oh my God, this is such a great workout, Coach. I mean, I have to say I feel so toned. I feel amazing. Oh my God.
I got a question for you. You trying to be like Precious or you trying to be like Mary J?
Excuse, do you know how hard it is
Tight.
to work out in Louis Vuittons, honey? I mean, that takes a special skill, honey.
Well, special deal if you left at the door.
No, honey. Thank you, Coach.
Hold on.
I told y'all that was so cheesy. Look at
I loved it
Corey.
though.
Well, at least you warned us.
Kim, you wasn't like that, were you? For real.
I know. I mean, I thought it would be funny to,
No, it's funny.
be exaggerated. I don't go to the gym that way, but
But you
kind of.
Yeah, I was about to say I wouldn't put it past you.
I've seen women like that at the gym though.
No,
Not the
seriously.
heels, but like full face of makeup.
Well, I
full-
still go. I go. I mean, because I already am made up. So anyway, okay.
Okay.
Anyway, so that was that. With that self-love, I just think the whole, the idea, like we said before, about the whole exercising, getting physically in shape, will help you mentally as well. You know
Oh,
what I mean? And
absolutely.
so I think that's important with self-love. The next clip I want to show, because this is going into another topic, is I don't know if y'all seen Beyonce's video Flawless. There's a lady on there who speaks about women's rights and how women were kind of raised differently from men. And so I want to play this clip and kind of talk with Corey and Vicky about this. So tune in.
We teach girls to shrink themselves, to make themselves smaller. We say to girls, you can have ambition, but not too much. You should aim to be successful, but not too successful. Otherwise, you will threaten the man. Because I am female, I'm expected to aspire to marriage. I'm expected to make my life choices, always keeping in mind that marriage is the most important. Now, marriage can be a good thing. It can be a source of joy and love and mutual support. But why do we teach girls to aspire to marriage and we don't teach boys the same? We raise girls to see each other as competitors, not for jobs or for accomplishments, which I think can be a good thing, but for the attention of men. We teach girls that they cannot be sexual beings in the way that boys are. Feminist, a person who believes in the social, political, and economic equality of the sexes.
So, what are your thoughts, Corey, on that clip?
Well,
I want to hear Mel's perspective.
Well, as a man that has a mother, has sisters, and has daughters, I agree with her. I think that things are changing, and we have to change this attitude or this perspective that women can't be and do just as much or more than men. I empower my daughters to do whatever you desire to do. I tell them
Yes.
all the time, the sky is not the limit. The sky should be the norm for you. And so
it.
I think it's just something that is evolving. The mindset is evolving. The acceptance is evolving. And me personally, I'll be honest with you, ladies, I think this is the hour of the woman.
Yes.
I think this is the time that the woman is to go to the forefront. I believe pretty soon our country may have a woman president. I just think that, when God created us, I don't think he created you guys less than us.
No.
I think that we're equal. I think
Yeah.
that just about anything we can do, you can do. And I champion women to be great.
Awesome.
Go out and be awesome, be amazing. And I'm not intimidated. I'm not intimidated by a woman of power, a woman of strength, a woman of authority. As a matter of fact, I champion that. And I believe that's a wonderful thing.
So, what do you tell women who are in relationships or marriages with men who are intimidated, who actually have to dumb down to, accommodate their spouses or their boyfriends?
Well, I could talk on that topic forever.
I know.
Right? I think there's a quote that I was going to tell you about even in the last segment when it says she remembered who she was and the game changed. Right?
Yes.
And so even when working out, sometimes going back to that working out
Yes.
thing, sometimes when you work out, you remind yourself of how strong you are, how powerful you are, and how you can overcome things. In the context of a relationship, number one, I don't think any man that's worth his salt, that's confident, will ever be intimidated by a woman. Right? And so
Good.
you're never going to be intimidated. As a matter of fact, if you're a man that thinks longevity and thinks legacy, you want a woman of power
Yes.
because the more power and authority she has, the more ability and skill set she has, then the more we can build together.
Together, yes.
Right? And not just me building and you helping me build, but we build this thing together. And so I think that's number one. Number two, if you do get a man that's intimidated, depending on what state you're in, if this is your boyfriend, then you have to ask yourself the question, are you willing to allow this man to be your husband and lead you, knowing that he's already intimidated and showing signs of being intimidated by your skill set or your attitude or your confidence or whatever. So you got to ask yourself the question, right? Now, if you marry that man knowing, seeing the signs already, then you really set yourself up
Yes.
for failure. Now, if he becomes your husband, now you have to ask yourself the question, how do I partner with God? Not change him myself, but how do I partner with God to
that's
show
good.
him how confident he can be and how powerful he is, and show him that this is not me trying to be better than him,
Right.
but this is me walking beside him. I think the
I
mistake that
love the partnering with God.
Absolutely. I think the mistake that many women and men make is we have the tendency to try to change someone, to
Yes.
try to force someone to be something instead of allowing God to change them and us
Yes.
partnering with God versus us trying to be God. Does that make sense?
And we have a habit of doing that as women.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, we are very guilty of that, but that's good. Partnering with God.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
good. That's a book.
Yeah.
I like that.
I like that.
Yeah.
Vicki, what are your thoughts?
Well,
Especially as a single woman, successful woman.
yeah, I have a lot to say about it.
Okay. All right.
No, a lot of guys are intimidated and it's very difficult to date
Yeah.
when you are a successful woman. But I feel like they're not thinking about it in the right way because, like you said, I could be helping you
Yeah,
reach your goals.
Yeah.
You should be helping me reach my goals.
absolutely.
It's not a competition.
Right.
we're in it together, and I feel like, you know, you can still be a woman and be everything that a man needs you to be and still be successful.
Right.
Those things shouldn't be different from each other or in conflict from each other. And I just feel like a lot of men feel like I have to be better than you in every area.
Right, right, right.
Like it's a competition or something. But no, we should be working together, and both of us will grow and be better people.
Right.
And have a stronger connection and better like family connection.
Right.
Too, you know.
You know, going back to the clip, you know, when she mentioned how, you know, young girls were basically raised and trained to be married, you know what I mean? And not even focus on career as much growing up, you know what I
Sure,
mean? I think today is different. These girls today, listen, I mean, I get my hair done at this shop where there's a lot of strippers. And no, I'm serious. No,
Okay.
don't do
All
it.
right.
There are a lot of strippers at this salon. I talked about this on the show already, but I sit back and listen to their conversations.
Yeah, but are they really representing the normal population?
Listen,
I'm
these
just
girls.
saying,
No,
they're
listen to what I'm
strippers.
saying. My point is, these girls have a different mindset these days. Okay, and they're really focused on securing the bag. You know what I mean? And they're really focused on. So there is a difference between, you know, for instance, I heard a song by City Girls. You know what they talk about, right? We don't
Tell
need
me,
no.
what do they talk
I ain't
about?
finna say it on this show, but you
No
know,
idea.
we don't
No.
need a man, basically. Blah 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 blah.
Okay.
Versus, you know, Tony Braxton just came out with a song saying, "As long as I live, I'll never get over you." You know what I mean? So the narrative is different. You know, there's a different message, and so you know, I think there's a balance. I think there could be, you know, they're both extremes to me because I don't want to sing that Tony Braxton song. I'm be honest, because I'm gonna get over you. I'm not gonna put that curse over my life. But you know, I think there is a, you know, a equal balance where we can, you know, be both.
Yeah, I agree. And I think as you were speaking, I was thinking to myself, why not find a way to merge both?
Merge both.
You know, why
Yes.
not? And I think what happened is I'm able to say the baby boomers and the generation
Yes.
X. Is that what we are?
I
the
think
gen-
we're X.
I think we're X.
Or Y. We're one of them.
We one of them. I don't know, but
I say
but-
I'm a millennial. I don't care what nobody says.
well, the baby boomers, right? They for sure train women
Yes.
to grow and to be domestic.
Yes.
Right, to be domesticated.
I don't. My mama did.
Well, okay, they are exceptions to the rule, right? And this is just a theory. This is not factual. But
Right, no.
as I process it, I think that, you know, most of them were trained to be domestic. right?
Absolutely.
And then our generation came along and was like, "Yo, this domestic thing ain't necessarily working out,"
right.
because our big mamas,
Mm-hmm.
grandmamas, and big mamas, they stayed with husband no matter what
No
husband
matter
did.
what he did.
Right. And then what
Yeah.
happened is now we started going to college. We started getting more educated.
Right.
And it's like, yo, I can secure the bag just like you secure the bag.
Yes.
Let me teach my children never to be in the position that I'm in.
Right.
And can I just like
Yeah.
jump in
Go ahead.
just from personal experience? I feel like the baby boomers were the first generation to start getting divorces. And a lot of us got raised by single moms.
True,
And all I
true.
saw was a strong woman.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was just telling one of my friends the other day, she was like, "Oh yeah, I don't have a man to go to if something like this happens, you know, like a flat tire, blah, blah, blah." Those thoughts never come to my mind because it's never been an option. You know what I mean? Like, I do whatever I have to do,
Yeah.
just like anybody else.
Right.
I don't ever think, "Oh my gosh, I should have a man for this," you know? And I feel like a lot of us were raised by single women. And
Right.
that is the reason why my example is a single woman working 9 to 5.
Right,
She
but-
didn't teach me
Okay,
to
so-
be submissive and
I love it.
and I didn't
Woo,
see
I love
and I
it.
didn't see that at my house.
I love it.
You know, I didn't see it as an example
Ooh,
either.
yeah, that's
I didn't have a
good.
man in my house to look at.
Yeah.
So let me ask you some questions. if
No,
you don't
yeah,
mind.
yeah.
Let me ask you some questions. How were you, where was dad at?
In another house.
At another house? Okay. All right. So here's another philosophy that I have. Okay, so you got to keep this in mind. So you got a lot of single mothers, right? Let's also take into to consideration welfare and housing. You know, when those things start taking place, where the government says we will help pay your bills as long as the man is not around.
Right.
Mama is mad because daddy is over at another house. So what mama's gonna do is teach daughters never to have to depend on a man. So now this mindset is reciprocated. You carry that on, and now you have this attitude, I don't need a man. Now, I'm not talking about you, but just in general. Then they teach their children, who are now the millennials, to go to school, go get the bag. You don't need a man. And so what's happened is, because Big Mama was hurt because Big Daddy stepped out, she taught Mama to not depend on a man. Mama taught daughter to not depend on a man. And now we got a generation of young girls who don't
Yes.
value relationships,
At all.
who don't value men, because we taught somebody something out of hurt and out of pain. I had a conversation with a friend of mine today, and he said, my dad, yesterday, he said, my dad taught me to always be ready to pack your bags and move along. And my question is, I said, how did that work out for your dad?
Right.
He said, my dad died alone. I said, exactly. So you don't have to subscribe to a foolish thought that your
Right.
dad gave you out of hurt and fear, because it didn't work for him. It's not going to work for you. We got to figure out a way to marry this. We got to figure out a way to understand what Beyonce and Jay-Z did. Both of them
Right.
are equally successful.
Yes.
They love each other. They had their ups and downs. Look
Yeah.
at Will and Jada
Yes.
and certain
I
people.
don't know
Yes.
about them.
Well, I mean, you
They
know,
got their understanding. Listen, let me tell you something.
They got their understanding.
This is,
All right.
you know, hey, if it works for them, it works for them. You know, I agree. You know, I was raised in a, 2-parent home. But I was raised by a strong black woman as well. And we have a lot of strong black women in our family.
Yeah.
So I can identify when you said you didn't know how to be submissive. I literally had to learn. I'm still learning how to be submissive. You know what I mean? Because as a black woman, that's hard, because we have so many challenges every day that we face. And to be submissive and vulnerable to someone is hard. But, I'm going to tell you something. I have to have a man. I can't say I don't want no man.
But that's like, for me, it's hard for me to, I honestly do not feel like I would have a problem being submissive. My problem is finding a man who is worth it.
being submissive to.
Who I respect. Like, I respect you enough to submit to you.
Uh-oh.
Because there's a lot of men who, out there, I'm just being honest, they're not somebody that I would even want my child to role model after. And I have to be submissive to you. You're not even making good decisions for your own life. You understand? So that's hard to just find somebody that, of course, if you're going to be submissive to somebody, you want to find somebody who is
But we're
doing
also,
something that-
but see, then we use that excuse. I'm not saying it's an excuse. No one's perfect, right? So I look at a man, if he is called by God for my life, he's not going to be perfect. And so I can't base my being submissive to him on his mistakes, because he's going to make mistakes. And that's not fair to him. You know what I mean? So we have to learn as women to understand, even in his mistakes, I'm going to be there to still lift you and support you and follow you, because the best time to really follow a man is when he's at his lowest, when he feels like he's not leading the way he should. You know what I mean? So just being there and saying, hey, I'm going to be there every step of the way with you, even in your mistakes.
Absolutely. We all make mistakes.
Yeah.
But I guess if you coming from a good place and your mistake is not going to try to ruin somebody's life or my life, I mean, sure. I mean, I
Yeah,
rock with
I
you.
agree.
I rock with you. But I'm just
Corey's
saying,
sitting here so anxious. Look at she. I
Listen.
wish you could point the camera back this way.
Listen, let me tell you something.
Wait,
I think what you now, you remember I said, listen, I may get in a little trouble on this.
No, go ahead,
right?
go
Because I want to challenge that mindset. Right. And so what happens is let's set some boundaries here, or some parameters. Number one, we're living in a day and age where there are times where women are the boss at work, and they don't know how to come home and not be the boss.
Oh, I got that problem.
That's true.
Right?
Oh my
and
gosh.
so
that's
you
me.
the boss
You're
at
right.
you the boss at work, and you don't know how to come
That
home
is
and not
me.
be the boss, right?
right.
Because you are accustomed
can't turn
to
it off.
telling
Yes.
right. So you're accustomed to directing and telling people what to do.
Yes.
Right. You're accustomed to doing whatever you're doing, interrogating as an attorney, being a counselor, interrogating as whatever you do, and you don't have the capability of turning it off. God forbid you make more money than your man, because now you're not only a boss at work, but
You're
you
a
coming
boss at
home.
home,
You're
baby.
coming home to somebody that, if you look at it from the perspective or through the lenses of financial capability, then he is not equal to you. And it makes it easier for you to disrespect him if you feel like he's not leading on the capacity that you desire him to lead. This is not corporate America. This is life. Right? And so
Yes.
the challenge that I have with most women that are successful, corporate America, is that I tell people all the time, you claim that you want a godly man, but you really don't. Because you want to follow and lead this man based upon how
Wow.
you define good leadership.
Wow.
The Bible never said follow your husband if he's doing X, Y, Z.
It just says follow. Ooh.
It said follow your husband. And so the problem is we want to rearrange scripture to fit what we want and what we
Yes.
desire. When Abraham went and told Sarah, it's time for us to pack up and leave, the scripture never talks about
Them
how she
arguing
said,
about
where
it.
we going, what
Yeah.
we go get, what we go do, blah, blah, blah. She followed,
followed,
right?
yeah.
And there's some women that miss their blessing and they miss the opportunity to do great things in life because they need to understand before they follow the man that they claim is their husband, right? And so I don't subscribe to the whole foolish thing that, if he ain't doing this,
Right.
he ain't doing this, because none of us are perfect.
Nobody.
We've all made mistakes. None of us lead at the level.
No.
None of us lead at an optimal level all the time.
No.
Right? Am I
Agree.
correct?
I agree. I totally agree with you. You hit the nail right on the head. I really agree. That was good, y'all.
Yeah, that was
That
good.
was deep, 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 deep.
Right.
that.
And can I say one more thing?
Absolutely.
I think what happens is my challenge for women, and again, bear with me, sisters, I love y'all, right? But this is what I've discovered about women. Oftentimes, women have this grandiose perspective of what manhood looks like. But your daddy wasn't even a good man.
But don't men have the same?
Wait a minute.
Hold on, time out. Wait, hold on. No, we're not. We can go there. We can go there. But I've had so many conversations with men that can tell me very detailed what a man is supposed to be, and you're not a man. And the truth is, your daddy wasn't a good man. So what you've done, you've created a man that you've never even seen.
ain't seen.
And so you've never even seen this man that you desire.
Wow.
And you expect me to live up to a standard that you created in your mind.
Wow.
Most women that got a problem with their man, they mad at that man because that man reminds them a little
their
bit of the
dad.
man that they saw. So you want me to live to a standard that you've never even seen yourself. What will the choir church say, amen?
We need an organ. I don't
But I do feel like men have the same issue.
Listen.
I agree. The
If
mama
we flip
issues,
the coin,
yes,
100% I agree with you.
Yeah.
The mama issues are major too. Yeah.
I 100% agree
They
with
want
you.
a mom instead of a wife sometimes.
This is what men want these days. They want you
I like it.
to
That'll
work.
get me in trouble.
No,
Work.
seriously. They want you to work
Cook and
be
clean.
equal.
Okay.
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 Bring in just as much money. But
Okay.
they also want you to do everything that the domestic wife was
Yeah.
doing. Take care of the kids, cook, clean, all that kind of stuff. First question guys ask me when I date, can you cook?
Wow.
But do I ask you, can you fix a flat tire on the first date? Do I ask you that? Okay, that's your perception of what a woman is supposed to be, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. Men do the same thing.
No, we all do. We all do it. We all do it. But I think understand this: most men that desire a woman to cook, that's an old.
It is.
It's an old mindset.
I like cooking.
and I listen. I enjoy a woman that knows how to cook
That's
and that will
good.
cook.
Yeah.
I love it.
I
right?
said there's nothing wrong with
Yeah,
it. I'm
no,
just saying
yeah.
that both of us have stereotypes and expectations.
And expectations,
from what a
absolutely.
man is supposed to be and what a woman is supposed
agree.
to be.
I
You
agree
know,
with that.
and I have expectations of
I
what a
do
man
too.
is supposed to be.
Well,
Because
okay.
I'm a woman. I don't want
Come
another
on,
woman.
woman.
I want a man. So if you can't do certain things that a man is supposed to be doing, and I'm sure you wouldn't want a woman that's not doing what women in your
So-
mind are supposed to be doing.
So can I
Yes,
can
look,
I,
y'all
can
done
I
took
pull
over. Go
back? Can I
ahead.
pull back and let me challenge that? Let me challenge that. Not challenging you, but challenging that mindset that both men and women have.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna get personal, give you an example.
Okay.
When I got married, my first wife was extremely upset with me one time. And I say my first wife, I've only been married one time, but she was extremely upset with me one time because she asked me if I knew how to change the oil. Right? And I don't know how to change oil. I just don't know how to change oil. That's
Okay.
just not my cup of tea.
Okay.
but I know how to hire somebody.
Yeah, exactly.
And-
That's fine.
And you got the money to do it.
And, you know,
Yeah.
so what I did is I didn't do what your daddy did. Your daddy was a hands-on person. He would get out in the driveway and change the oil himself.
Right.
I didn't do that. I went and secured the bag, had 100 employees. So I'm different from your daddy.
Amen. Yeah.
But I don't want you to think that I'm less than a man because I can't do what your
Right.
dad did.
Right.
Right. On the flip side of that, must understand, my mother was a single mom. And I watched my mother work 2 jobs and go to school. So I have a fundamental issue with a woman that lays in a bed or that what I subscribe to be as lazy, right?
Yeah.
And that's unfair.
Right.
It's unfair because
Right.
I can't force a woman. I can't expect her to be like my mom
Yeah.
because my mom did it out of need,
Necessity.
out of necessity.
Right.
She
Yeah.
had to do that. So I think all of us sometimes have to reevaluate our expectations in relationships
Absolutely.
and go back to the root of why we
Why?
believe this is supposed to be this way. And if you really love someone, when you meet that person, you should be willing to uproot all of these ingrained definitions you have of manhood and womanhood, of husband and wife, and decide that we're going to create this together. Does that make sense?
Yes,
Absolutely.
that's good.
That's really good.
Come
yeah.
on, I
like
love that. Vicky's smiling, so it must be good then. 'Cause-
I agree with what you're saying. You
feel me?
100%. Yeah.
Well, listen, y'all, we're going to take some questions on Facebook Live. Vicky's going to read your questions for Corey or for me or whoever else, for Vicky. So we're going to do that in a few minutes. But if you have questions, just go ahead and start typing it in the comments. So the next segment is called Where is the Love? And what is that?
I think she went to Facebook. And
Oh,
I was trying to read the comments.
got the next segment is called Where's the Love? And you know, I wrote a book, Corey, called Corporate America and the African American Woman. And it talks about overcoming stereotypes in the workplace. So, you know, I was an accounting executive for 3 Fortune 100 companies in my career, and I've seen a lot.
Okay.
And so when I wrote this book, one of the things I did a survey amongst white executives, the CEOs and some executives. I asked them what was their number one observation of black women in the workplace. And the consensus was that black women are jealous of each other. They noticed the competition and the jealousy amongst black women in the workplace, which kind of floored me. I thought it was going to be the angry black woman stereotype, but it was a jealousy. And so I want to talk about like why, you know, let me give you an example. I feel like a lot of times this negativity that we have against each other is such a projection of how we feel about ourselves, which goes back to the self-love, right? And I had an incident with a friend of mine actually messaged me on Facebook. I've known her since the 5th grade. Y'all, listen, this is the short version. But she asked me for some advice in her marriage, which I'm the last person. But anyway, so she asked me for some advice, and I said, listen, this may be an opportunity for you to look inward. Yes, he's probably done X, Y, and Z, but there's 2 people in a marriage, so there's always an opportunity for accountability for your part, and blah, 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 blah. She literally got so angry at me and started to just throw my past in my face, okay? And so it called me a fake and opportunist and all this stuff. And so I'm thinking to myself, did you want to just say this to me from the beginning? Is that why you reached out? And I just told her, you know, I was praying for you, blah, 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 and left it alone. But I saw this whole self-projection, you know, of how she felt about herself. I gave her some sound advice, but for her to turn around and use that against me to kind of tear me down is something that is kind of, I think, rapid. It runs rapid in the black community, especially with black women. So I want to talk about like the negativity against each other. Why do we have this perception of I have to bring my sister down in order to achieve my goals?
I don't really think it's just black women.
It-
But
I agree,
I understand.
but-
I think it's just women in general.
I-
But yes, it is a problem, especially at the workplace.
Yes.
But I just feel like we're always in competition with each other. We feel like because we're in competition with each other outside of work. Like when
Right.
it comes to men, for instance, most black men have about 5 girls in rotation. So I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
First of all,
They're high commodity.
No, I
hashtag
have to say that though. You're
Little
right.
Duval, black men don't cheat. All right, I don't know.
but
I
this
don't
one
know
might
any black
not.
men that
But
cheat.
Vicky
This one might not.
hit it because black men are hot commodities. Every race of woman wants a black man.
Seems like it.
Asians, whites, Hispanics.
Come on, tell
you know
the
what I
truth.
mean?
And then
Us.
we want them. Okay? So
So you're right about
But
that.
now, can I be messy?
You could be messy.
Let me be messy. And you want him. But if he does not meet this standard that you created, then you will verbally destroy him.
No.
Right? But Becky
Verbally.
yeah, and everything else, but Becky and
Becky, take it.
Saskatchewan and whoever else, whatever other race that you think of, I'm gonna tell you, I've traveled the world, and we talked about me traveling. There is a greater appreciation, respect, and honor around this world.
Wow.
For black men, the one that did, and I know I'm gonna get ate up in the comments, but I'm just as a whole, who challenges the black man in a way that we perceive to be negative the most is the black woman, right? And I say we perceive because it may not be that you guys are really trying to tear us down and destroy us. It may really be that you're trying to build us up, but we haven't learned effective communication.
Right.
We haven't learned how to appreciate a woman that sees us as a king,
Right.
and that desires for us to be greater, right? But it's a matter of message intended being message received. It's a matter of making sure that the message that you want me to get, I receive that message, and I don't see you as destroying me or tearing me down, but really pushing me to greatness.
Well, you know what? I agree.
See how I cleaned that up? That was
I
good.
agree.
Woohoo!
But and Vicky probably can to talk about this more. Black women are hot commodities in international countries as well.
Absolutely.
Right, Vicky?
Yes.
Vicky travels the
Whoa,
world.
wait, hold on. Did you see that smile, Vicky? just smiled?
Yes.
Okay, Vicky.
I think it's a two-way street. I think it goes both ways, but Vicky can contest to that. I know.
Yeah. It's true.
Vicky, I haven't seen you
You
smile
have-
the whole show. What's up, Vicky? Like, put us up on game, Vicky. You smiling real hard over
No,
there.
it's true. I just feel like, for me, the first time I went abroad, I was like kind of in shock because the men treated me so well.
Yeah.
And I hate to say it, but when I'm at home,
Yeah.
black men kind of treat women black women like kind of like trash. I mean, in general. I'm
Yeah.
not talking about you, but I'm just saying like
Yeah.
scum on the bottom of your shoe. But you go over there and it's just like, wow,
Yeah.
like you're treating me like a princess. You're telling me I'm beautiful. I don't have to change anything. Like, but a black man will compare you to Becky
Yeah. Absolutely.
in front of you.
Absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely.
And then when you're with your man, he's checking for another woman while you're with him. So I'm
Wow.
just saying, we got reasons to have the reason why we act the
So,
way we act.
and so I appreciate it. I can take the heat because I appreciate that, because I think oftentimes what happens is instead of us listening, we listen to defend. And so I think sometimes we as men don't know how we make women feel. And so that's why I'm interested to know that. I was telling somebody today, have you ever been to Toronto, Canada?
No.
Right? And so you've been to Toronto, Canada? Okay, so I want to challenge you to go to Toronto.
Okay.
I told them, I said, when you go to Toronto, because Toronto doesn't have the racist history of America, you don't feel the oppression when you're in Toronto, right? And so I want to say that same thing as it relates to racial oppression. I think that the black man and the black woman in America have been, for history, for a long time, have been trained to fight against one
Yes,
another versus
absolutely.
building one another up. So
Absolutely.
maybe that's why when you go to other countries,
Yeah.
you're more appreciated.
Yeah.
And so what we got to do is figure out how to find the common ground
Absolutely.
and love on one another. And because I never want to treat you like the scum of the earth, because I never want my daughters to be treated like that.
Right.
And I think Bishop Jake said something that was so impactful to me. He said, if women would treat their men the way they treat their sons,
Oof.
and if men would treat their woman the way they treat their
Their
daughters,
daughters.
then we would all have better relationships.
Yes.
Because the way you love your son is you go
Yes.
love on him, you go give him chance, you go call him king, you go uplift him. We go. Our daughters are sacred to us. We will defend them and love them to
That's good,
eternity, right?
That's good.
And
Yeah.
so what we've got to do is start, and even myself, I challenge myself at times that I want to make sure that I'm loving people, loving a woman the way I would love my daughters.
Yeah.
Hey,
Right.
my daughters can't do no wrong. And if they wrong, I love them through their wrong,
Yes,
right?
yes.
I don't throw them away,
Yes.
right? Your sons,
Absolutely.
you go love them through their mistakes.
Listen.
But let JoJo make a mistake. You cutting that
out
joker
the door.
all the way off.
That's true.
Right? And
This
so
is true.
we got to do better.
And
That's
I also think like when I do travel abroad, I feel like people of other cultures they have kind of accepted themselves. And because they don't have the background we have with racism,
Right.
we're already trying to work our way up from like low self-esteem and like feeling like, oh, we're less
Oppression.
than oppression. So we put it on each other.
Absolutely.
What we experienced in the past,
We're projecting.
we're projecting on each other.
Absolutely.
And so we have to love ourselves. I have to love myself. You have to love yourself in order for us to love
Let
each
me
other.
tell you why I love Vicky. She has inspired me because Vicky travels the world alone, by herself.
Yep.
She goes everywhere. Where have you been?
A lot of places.
Everywhere. I mean, every time I look up, she's gone. You
Now,
know
I got
what
my
mean?
passport over there. We can compare stamps.
Let's do it.
That's going to be a hard one, but I mean, but talk about why you started doing that. Be transparent. I know. I put you on the spot. I know. But talk about that because that's going to help somebody.
I was in a place where I felt like I needed to get away and think and like find myself and start loving myself.
Yes.
And I didn't want any outside distractions. I didn't want my friends. I didn't want anything. I just
Yeah.
needed to be alone with God, you know? And so I said, where can I go for like a month?
Wow.
And luckily, with my job situation, everything was good. I went to Barcelona for a month, and it just opened my eyes.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, I'm okay. Vicky is okay. Like,
That's good.
and then after that, I was just addicted to it.
Yeah.
And I learned to love myself through traveling too, you know, because when you're by yourself and all you have is yourself, like you have to really love yourself to be
Yeah.
alone with yourself for 5 weeks.
That's scary to me, and that's scary. I mean, I wanted to do it. I told you I want to.
I feel like everyone should do it at least once.
That's especially going overseas. You know, that's kind of a
So again, what we have to do is eliminate that ingrained fear
Yes.
of traveling alone. I just went to Africa for a month by myself.
Wow.
Where'd you go?
The question is, where didn't I go?
Okay.
So I went to Ghana, Nairobi, Johannesburg, Cape Town, Cairo, Egypt.
Did it.
Nice.
And then I end up in Paris, France, and then came back home. Same reason. I was on a journey for self-discovery.
Yeah.
Because oftentimes we start to acquiesce to the labels that people give us
Yep.
versus really finding out who we really are.
Right. Mhm.
Right. And sometimes you're right. You got to get away. You got to get off of social media, get away from the norm
Yes.
to discover who you are. One of the conversations, and I think this is key. I think this is key. One of the conversations that I've had in my past, and I use a shoe analogy. Sometimes if you and I are in a relationship, I'll say maybe the shoe doesn't fit, right? So this relationship is not working. But just because the shoe doesn't fit doesn't mean the shoe doesn't have value,
Right.
right? And I think
good.
oftentimes what we say is we say because the shoe don't fit me, the shoe ain't worth nothing, the shoe
Right,
can't do
right.
nothing. No, the shoe may be extremely valuable
Right.
to someone
Somebody
else.
else.
And as the shoe, you have to let yourself know that even if JoJo, Sarah, Susie, my corporation, my church, whoever don't value me, I'm not going to devalue myself.
Right.
Amen.
Right.
Right.
And so that means
Yeah.
because I listen, I may be on somebody's clearance rack in your life, but over here I may be,
Right.
in the
The
Versace
markets, honey.
store.
Yeah.
Right. You
Yeah.
follow what I'm saying? And so it's just a matter of us valuing ourselves and not allowing people to tell us what we're not.
Exactly.
that part.
Yeah.
That part.
And honestly, traveling helped me discover that about myself.
I admire that, Vicky.
That's why I love it.
Yeah.
That takes a lot of.
I recommend it.
I'm gonna do it.
Do it.
I got too many kids, so I can't.
Well, when they get older.
And then if you travel and do some hiking, do stuff that you've never done
Yeah,
before.
that's
Yeah.
good. Yeah.
Yeah. So when I was in Africa, I was hiking through the mountains.
Did you go to? No, you didn't go to Kilimanjaro.
No,
You
I didn't.
You were on the
but
East
that's-
Coast. You were on the West Coast.
That's my next.
Got it
So I want to
done.
go to the next one. I'm going to Zimbabwe. So I did things. I challenged myself to do stuff that I'd never done before.
Yeah.
When I went to Cairo, Egypt, everybody was like, "Don't do this." I did exactly what they told me not to do.
Good.
Like what?
Yeah.
Right, going to the slums.
Okay,
right?
yeah.
Eating
Oh,
certain
wow.
foods.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
I find the
You
hood
ate
wherever I
certain
go.
foods in the slums.
Absolutely.
Oh God.
They like it. I love it, huh?
Absolutely. If they living, you know,
Right.
it's
It's
not
okay.
gonna kill
Well, they
me.
said something about our immune systems may not be the same. It can, you know.
I'm okay.
Okay,
Depending on
all
what
right.
it
I said
is.
you're okay.
Yeah. I don't eat raw meat in the foreign countries.
No.
But
Right.
I'll eat it if it's cooked.
Right.
Gotcha.
Right on. Nah,
Well, listen, I
gotta be
know
cooked.
we have like 9 minutes left. Vicky, do we have any questions on Facebook Live? Your phone died.
No, it's making noise, so I don't.
Let me go look.
All
I'll
right.
check it.
If
then.
y'all got some questions, I'm a slide in and see if I got questions.
Yeah, let's
on
see
there.
if we got some questions.
Well, you know it's go.
Is it going?
Yeah, the volume's gonna come on if you go onto the live.
Okay, here we go.
Troy, we got any questions?
Just affirmations.
Just
Just
affirmation. No
affirmations.
questions. No. Oh, we got a lot.
Speed life, you know, that kind of stuff.
Okay.
Well, you know what?
Don't say it, there's more.
Oh,
there's
we got some more questions? If y'all got questions, go ahead. We got a few minutes. We can take maybe 2 or 3 questions.
Yes.
Any questions about self-love, traveling? We're gonna see who got more passport stamps, me or Vicky.
Question: what happened to the Bible instructions for marriage? I believe that the way the world has evolved today, a lot of the marriage arrangements today does not line up. Y'all have already hit on some points I'm talking about.
Yo, now this is what I will say to that. I have to be careful how I speak on this. I believe the Bible is true.
Yeah.
I believe the Word of God is the Bible is inspired Word of God. But I also want to say this, that we cannot look specifically to the Bible to make a marriage work. Because there's a lot of people that know the Bible
Yes.
and still end up in divorce
Listen,
court,
yes.
right? The Bible is true. If you take it in its totality and you ascribe that to your life, then absolutely forgiveness, love being long
Right,
suffering, love
right.
forgetting, right? But there's also some very practical things that you have to
Absolutely.
do, like looking in the mirror and understanding that, maybe it's not scripture that's the problem. Maybe your attitude is the problem.
Right.
Maybe you're not forgiving him because he reminds you of your father and you're projecting your
That's
anger
good.
off
That's
of
a whole
onto
nother
him.
show. Oh my God.
And you mad at him and you can't really forgive him, but really who you mad at is your daddy, or vice versa. You really mad at your mama. And so then forgiveness, which is scripture, comes in. But here's the thing, for those that don't ascribe or don't subscribe to biblical truths, there's still some very practical things that we can do, like
Right.
owning our stuff and making a decision that we want to do it the right way.
So what do you suggest as far as, marriage tips outside of the Bible?
I think go to therapy.
Absolutely.
I think therapy is
Do
key.
you think therapy is for everybody?
I think therapy this is why I think therapy is for everybody. All right. Here's an analogy I need, but I know we getting ready to roll. If I look at Vicky right now, right, I'm gonna give an example. If I look at Vicky right now and I tell Vicky, you got something on your nose. 9 times out of 10, Vicky's gonna wipe her nose, or she's gonna find a mirror to look at her nose.
Right.
The reality is we're both looking at her. We know she don't have anything on her nose, but here's the principle. I can see what she can't. She can't see herself. So the reason I think therapy is important, you need to be able to go to somebody who can see what you cannot see.
Agreed.
Right? And who can challenge you in the area that you normally not challenged. Your spouse can be telling you something true, but because you're looking at your spouse through the lenses of their past and their history and past hurts, you can't hear your spouse. So you and your spouse need to go sit with somebody, or you go by yourself.
But Corey,
Go ahead.
what do you do if your husband or your spouse, because men don't like going to counseling.
Okay.
What do you do in those situations?
So I heard some of the greatest advice.
Okay.
I was in Denver this past weekend at Woman Evolved. Sarah Jakes
Okay,
Roberts
yeah.
had a conference, and someone asked that same question. And I think it was Sarah that said this. She said that if your husband does not want to go to counseling, what you could do is go to your husband and say, baby, I really want this marriage to work, and it's affecting me mentally and emotionally, and I'm going to go to counseling by myself. And I eventually would like you to join me
Okay.
because I need
it.
the help. Because sometimes you got, the Bible says that you got to become all things to all men that you may win some. And so sometimes you got to figure out a way to be
win them.
wise as a serpent and gentle as a dove. And so you got to figure out how to get him in without making him feel like it's all about him.
Right.
I think that's key.
Yeah.
That's absolutely key. And I also feel like relationships require communication. And a lot of
Yes.
people have terrible communication skills in a marriage. They hold stuff in. They don't tell when something's bothered them.
Right.
And then they end up lashing
Exploding,
out,
yep.
exploding, or acting out, as in cheating or whatever. And then they want a divorce. But, that's why I think counseling probably is good, just because you
But
have
it's so
a platform.
taboo.
Yeah.
But
Listen,
I'ma
I
tell
believe
you
in
why-
counseling. Let me
I'm gonna
tell
tell
you.
you why it's taboo.
Yeah.
Because we as a community, we've mistaken mental health with mental illness. Mental health is not mental illness. The same way you will go out and physically work out your body,
You have to go.
sometimes you
yes.
have to go out and work out your mind.
Absolutely.
You want to be mentally healthy, right? Mental health is not sickness,
No.
right? I don't go to the gym because I'm sick.
No.
I go to the gym because I desire to be healthy.
Right.
The same reason I would go sit with a therapist, because I got to work through some things. Because the reality is I'm still upset with my uncle or my mother, and I'm projecting in my relationships. It's impacting my relationships, and I need somebody to help me process this and unpack this and love myself and understand that what happened to me doesn't define me.
Okay.
Right? So I think it's important.
So Corey, I want you to end because, I really feel in my heart you need to talk to the men about therapy. I think it's so important in these marriages because it goes unaddressed. And then there's a lot of anger or bitterness and all this stuff that's kind of built up in the home. So what would you tell men who are hesitant about going to therapy?
Well, what I would tell men, it's kind of like going to the gym, all right? And so any man that's played football or any sport in the past, when you go to the gym, it is ingrained in you to do the same exercises that you were taught when you played the sport.
Right.
So because I was a football player, if I go to the gym, I'm going to do football exercises. But when I get a trainer, my trainer is going to challenge me to exercise in a way that I've never exercised before.
Right.
So now I got muscles that I'm working muscles that I never even knew, right? That I needed to work. That's why we need to be okay with going, because men are egotistical. I
Right.
don't need a trainer.
Right.
But a trainer will challenge you in areas that you won't challenge yourself.
Correct.
The reason I think it's okay to sit with a therapist or sit with a friend that's a therapist, sit with somebody that can exercise you and challenge you mentally and emotionally in a way that you will not allow your wife to do. You won't allow your wife to do it because you're still mad at your wife. You're still angry. She talked down to you. She's reminded you of your past failures, your past mistakes. She keeps that over your head. So you got to go talk to somebody else, because the truth is your wife may actually be true, but you can't hear her because she sounds like your mom and you're still mad at your mom, or she sounds like your dad and she's still mad at your dad. So you got to go unpack that and work that thing out so that you can be the best you. Learn to love yourself. And once you love yourself, then you can begin to love your wife, or realize that, either this is going to work or it's not going to work or whatever. But I think it starts with self-love.
Self-love.
Everything
Y'all, this
comes
has been
back around to self-love.
self-love.
Yeah.
This has been a therapy session for me today. Thank you so
Yeah.
much, Corey. I really appreciate you being on the show. And thank you to my guest host, Vicky, today, too. You were wonderful. We got to have you back.
Listen, I'm here. I like the studio, the setup,
Is
the
it
lights.
nice? It's pretty cool,
dope,
isn't
man.
it? It's dope,
yeah.
ain't it? It's dope. But yeah,
like
thank
it.
you so much. And y'all tune in next time. Okay, y'all, I'm going to once a month because my schedule is too hectic. I can't do every week. So tune in next month. It's the second Tuesday of each month. So we'll see you next time. Thank you.
Peace.